In 2018, a single fish sold for $1.8 million at an auction in Hiroshima, Japan. Not a bluefin tuna, not a rare deep-sea specimen pulled from some unexplored trench. A koi, a pond fish, the kind of thing you see swimming in circles at a Chinese restaurant. The buyer, a Taiwanese collector named Ying Chung, outbid competitors from around the world for a 3-foot-long, 9-year-old red and white koi named S Legend. And the thing is, to most people, it just looked like a fish. A pretty fish, sure, but $1.8 million pretty? To understand why anyone would pay that much for something you can buy at a pet store for $10, you have to understand how koi are actually made. And once you do, the price starts to make a disturbing amount of sense. 200 years ago, in the mountains of Niigata Prefecture in northern Japan, rice farmers had a problem. Winters were brutal, snowfall could reach over 4 meters, and for months entire villages were cut off from the outside world. So to survive, farmers bred common black carp in their rice paddies and irrigation ponds. When the fish hit about 6 inches, they'd catch them, salt them, and store them for food. But somewhere around the 1820s, something weird started happening. Some of the carp were coming out wrong. Instead of the usual dull grey-black, a few had patches of red, others had streaks of white. Natural mutations, nothing more. But the farmers thought they looked interesting, so instead of eating them, they pulled them aside and started breeding the colourful ones together. That decision, made by anonymous rice farmers trying to get through winter, is the origin of a billion-dollar global industry. Over decades, those farmers refined their breeding, selecting for brighter reds, cleaner whites, bolder patterns. They called these fish nishikigoi, which loosely translates to brocaded carp, though the more poetic translation is living jewels. And for almost a century, nobody outside Niigata knew they existed. That changed in 1914, when breeders brought a handful of koi to the Tokyo Taisho exposition. Over 7 million people attended. The koi won a silver medal, and 8 of them were gifted to Crown Prince Hirohito for the Imperial Palace moat. After that, demand exploded. What had been a farmer's hobby became a national obsession. But here's where the economics get interesting and kind of unsettling. A single female koi can lay anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000 eggs in a single spawning season. Some of the larger operations produce over 1 million fry per year. So you'd think koi would be dirt cheap, right? There are millions of them. The opposite is true, because of a process called culling. And culling is the reason a koi can cost more than a house. When those hundreds of thousands of eggs hatch, the breeder's job isn't to raise them, it's to eliminate them. Within days of hatching, breeders begin sorting through the fry, looking for the tiniest hints of colour, body shape, and potential. The overwhelming majority are removed. At one well-documented Japanese farm, Koda Koi Farm, they start with 1.2 million fry each year. After the first round of culling, they keep about 20,000. That's roughly 1.7%. But it doesn't stop there. Of those 20,000 yearlings, only about 2,000 are kept to grow into 2-year-olds. And of those 2,000, only around 200 make it to 3 years old. Each round, 90% are cut. And even among those final 200, only about 10% will ever command a serious price. So out of 1.2 million fish, you might end up with 20 that a collector would actually want. The rest are sold as pond-grade fish, given away, or in some cases, ground up and fed back to the remaining stock. One breeders' forum described the process bluntly. If you're not willing to cull, you shouldn't breed koi. This is why the prices get so extreme. You're not paying for a fish, you're paying for the million fish that had to be discarded so that one could exist. Now, if culling were the whole story, koi would just be expensive. What makes them absurdly expensive is what breeders are actually looking for during those selections. And this is where it gets closer to art than agriculture. Judges at koi competitions evaluate 4 main qualities. Body shape comes first. The fish needs to be symmetrical, with even lines on both sides, a wide head, a rounded nose, and a plump frame that tapers smoothly from head to tail. A pointy nose or uneven body kills the fish's chances immediately. Then comes quality, which refers to the skin itself. The white areas need to be pure and luminous, like white porcelain. No yellowing, no dullness. The red markings need to be thick and even, not thin or blotchy. If the fish has black markings, those need to be deep and solid. The scales should be slightly convex, reflecting light outward so the fish almost seems to glow. Third is what the Japanese call finish, which is essentially how polished the whole package looks. Fish might have perfect colours that just aren't fully developed yet. The reds might still be maturing, or the blacks might be a little cloudy. A finished fish has everything in final form, all colours sharp and settled. And finally, pattern. This is where personal taste enters the equation, but certain rules apply. The pattern needs to be balanced from front to back left to right, and proportional to the body. On a large fish, the marking should be large and bold. Small patterns on a big body look weak. The edges where two colours meet should be crisp and clean, almost like they were cut with a razor. Here's the catch. None of these qualities can be forced. You can breed two champion parents together and get a million fry that are completely unremarkable. Koi genetics are wildly unpredictable. Multiple genes interact in ways breeders still don't fully understand. And environmental factors like water temperature, mineral content in the mud ponds, and diet all influence how colours develop over time. A fish that looks mediocre at 1 year might develop into a champion at 3, or it might peak early and fade. This is why top breeders in Japan talk about their work the way painters talk about art. They're not manufacturing a product, they're selecting from chaos, trying to spot potential in a baby fish the size of a grain of rice. And most of the time, they're wrong. The best breeders in the world will freely admit they can't pick a grand champion from a pond of fry. That's the whole reason the culling process exists. You eliminate what's clearly bad and hope that what remains has something special hiding inside it. Farms that produce the most expensive koi in the world are almost all in Japan, and many of them have been operating for generations. Sakai Fish Farm in Hiroshima, which bred S Legend, 4th generation operation. Dainichi, Momotaro, Issa, Shintaro. These are names that carry weight in the koi world the way Chateau Lafite or Romani Conti carry weight in wine. Collectors don't just buy a fish, buy a bloodline. And the Koi Show circuit is the engine that drives prices. The All Japan Koi Show, hosted by the All Japan Nishikigoi Promotion Association, is the most prestigious competition in the world. Winning Grand Champion there doesn't just validate a fish, it validates the breeder's entire genetic program. A single win can increase the value of every fish in that breeder's inventory overnight. At shows, fish compete within size divisions, measured in centimetres, and because females grow larger and develop fuller body shapes, the vast majority of Grand Champions are female. This means female koi, especially large ones from top bloodlines, are significantly more expensive than male. In recent years, the market has been supercharged by wealthy collectors from China and Southeast Asia, importing massive quantities of high-end koi from Niigata. That wave of demand pushed prices for top-tier fish into territories that would have been unimaginable 20 years ago. A champion quality koi from a famous breeder can easily sell for $50,000 to $100,000. Fish from elite bloodlines with show wins behind them have gone for several $100,000. And then there's S Legend, sitting alone at $1.8 million. What makes all of this even stranger is that koi are, at the end of the day, a domesticated version of the common carp. The same fish that's considered invasive in parts of Australia and the American South. The same fish that bottom feeds in muddy rivers. Koi, and release it into the wild. And within a few generations, its descendants will revert to dull, unremarkable carp. All that beauty is artificial, gained only through relentless human selection. And maybe that's actually the point. Koi aren't expensive because of what they are. They're expensive because of what it takes to make them. Trees of breeding knowledge passed down through families. A culling process so severe that less than 1% survive. A judging standard so precise that the edge of a single colour marking can make or break a fish's value. And a market where the rarest specimens are treated less like pets and more like living paintings, each one unrepeatable. When those Niigata rice farmers pulled a few colourful carp out of their dinner supply 200 years ago, they couldn't have imagined what they were starting. But then again, nobody who breeds koi at the highest level is doing it for the money. They'll tell you that themselves, because somewhere in a pond of 1 million identical babies, there'll be one that's never existed before. And finding that one worth the million it takes to get there.